This morning, well, it seems to be broken. I came to the workshop to finish the bike. I want it spot on, and then I'm gonna go around the block, test it. A couple of jumps, maybe, well, jumps. I don't know, jumps, a couple of potholes, see if it vibrates or not. Also, my coffin is broken this morning. Well, it seems to be broken. Beautiful. Should this come off now? There you go. And this is the whole tower. Again, all this electric that should be done, you know, nice and to the correct length and all the stuff. Obviously, one reason I haven't done it properly is because, again, I was rushing to get the bike ready last night for today, which wasn't needed anyway. And the second reason is that because it's a prototype, I don't want to chop and everything, make everything to the right length, and then find myself I have to adjust something and it's too short. That would be stupid. So then after it's finished, this is now I'm happy with the result. I didn't put it on the bike yet, but I've done exactly what I needed. I did put the roadbook as close to the standard clocks as possible, but again, from here, even from here, you still be able to see the speed and all the things you need. Now the clocks are pretty close to the ignition barrel, but you can still put a finger around it, so there's plenty of space to this to move and all the stuff, blah blah. But now let's do a comparison to the standard front end. Now the standard front end, again, I have the screen rises, but again, it is on the lowest part, so this probably rise about 10 mil, no more than this. And the only reason I'm using them is not because I want the screen higher, it's because I wanted the screen slightly bit more forward, so I had the space for the roadbook, and also because these plastics, they will break before these or before the screen. So actually I did fall down once, and it saves my screen and everything that actually broke down, and it's very cheap to replace, so it's no brainer. It's like a safety device, we call it this way. Now on this one, yes, I have the screen, I have the headlamp protector, which you kind of want it because, you know, stones and everything flies, and these are very expensive, so I'm better replacing one of these for £30 than this for £1,200. So, but as the comparison goes, the main thing is that you see that the original frame mounts on the headstock, small metal frame, and then is all plastic, which is very flexible. Hence obviously reinforced it with this frame, and then added this T-piece, which is welded to the standard fitment. And but also all of this relies on the side mounts, which they fit to the side of the frame, kind of down there. So to remove it, you have to remove the whole side and a bunch of things, a lot of wires, blah blah. It is still nice and easy to work on it, but obviously in comparison to this, is very much different. This one only holds, everything holds on the headstock, and I can guarantee you this one is actually stronger than this, vibrates more. Now, being stronger, it's not exactly what I wanted to achieve on this side, okay? Because this being so much solid, and this is fiberglass, if you fall with this will crack most likely. If you fall with this will bend and come back in place, and if you bend it over the cracking point, something will break, but it's very cheap, obviously, damage, because this you can fix it with pennies in comparison to this. Another thing is that because this is vibrates, it moves, but it's kind of rigid at the same point in comparison to this will break less likely than this. So this is what I wanted to achieve in the first place. Then another thing why I built my own after, like I said before, I don't remember if I did or not, so I'm gonna say it again. I'm hoping not to bore you too much. Is that you see where I've left this is the mount for the standard clocks. Can you see the difference? That is about 3 inches lower, okay? And Yamaha, I don't know why they put them in this place, because I guess because it's easy on the road, or for road use, because it's just down there under your vision, under your eyesight, and it's very easy to read. It's fairly high when you ride from your head position and all this stuff. But as soon as you want to put the road book, there is not very much space for this. Once you put it on, and remember this is much smaller, this is like, you know, very amateur one, or again, like I said, fully mechanical, just manual rollers. This one is bigger, so if I had to put this one over here, it would have to be even higher, which is way too high. And everything is mounted on that small bar, you can see it from the front there, which again originally vibrates a lot. However, with this fitted on, it is way more stable. It's fair play, big credit, because it makes everything fairly strong. Strong enough, still not strong enough in my opinion. It still vibrates if you do the jumps or like very rough terrain on the rallies and all that stuff. It's still not good enough in my opinion. Entry level, I think is good enough. You know, once reinforced is fairly decent, but again, if you fall, this is a big money to replace it. And again, this is it was vibrating with this, which is very light in comparison to this one, which is much heavier. Still very lightweight, one of the lightest, but you know, in comparison, it is much heavier because obviously it's got the motor inside, everything is aluminium, this is all plastic, this is proper stuff. This is the stuff. This is one of the roadbook holders they use in the Dakars and all these big rallies. And what else? Lights, obviously, you know, I'm not sure how strong these are gonna be in comparison to the original ones. The original ones, they're not too bad, they're not mega great, but I was happy with this. I'm not sure how much light they're gonna offer. These are just spotlights for 4x4s and all that stuff. But again, this is just an experiment. I can replace the lights whenever I want. And I will have to play with those, I'm pretty sure. I may be surprised, they may be alright, but I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a lot of play about it. What else? Now obviously you can see that the main difference is the height. Okay, everything on this is very compact. I have more vision over this on the top of this than this one. Now some of you may argue, it's like, well, you know, some people actually to travel put even a higher screen. Now first of all, I don't think putting the higher screen is a good thing, even for travel, because what you do is you're gonna have the same effect I had on my 1200 on the Super Tenere, that you in this bubble with no air. But when you increase the speed, the bubble, the line of the bubble inside and the outside is gonna get lower. And as soon as you raise your head, you have this concentrated airflow, and it's huge. It has this buffering effect a lot, so you have to stay in that bubble. If you're out, it's bad. When the screen is much lower, okay, the buffering effect is much smaller, I would say this way. And so you receive some air on your head and slightly on your chest maybe, but not too much. It is actually pleasant. It's you feel like you're riding a motorcycle, not stay in the car. And there's no bubble. Well, it is, but it's like less wind, not too much. But all around it, there's no big difference. There's no this gap between I'm okay here, fuck me, I'm shaking over here. You're just good everywhere. So I think that two screens, for me, is a no go anyway. Friend of mine is very tall. He said, no, I need a big screen, but he's getting all that and all comfortable, all that stuff. So I guess everyone obviously suits his own ideas. So for off-road use, rally stuff, I think this is even better because it's slightly lower, and you know, it's just, you can see, because you can see on the standard bike, you can see through this. Okay, you have this bar here which you put your phone or your GPS or whatever, and this is your height of sight, which if you do a comparison, it is exactly the height of the line of sight, if you want to see it this way, exactly as this, which is already a big naphtha. Even with my Ico, which I don't use in my Ico, like I said, I use my daughter's old iPhone. I just stick it there. I just put it there, so it's all complete. You see? You see where this is? Just above that bar there, which you use as a mount for your GPS or the phone, which is exactly as standard. So I was able to manage to put the phone at the top, which again, now if I travel, don't have to remove this. I can use it as my GPS. I can put the GPS on there, phone, whatever I want to use it. I still have my clocks, and I have a big ass roadbook holder, all in once. Now, I could buy myself a NAFTA ready for these bikes. There's a few companies sell them, but there are two important things why I didn't go for them. First, they're very expensive. You're talking about £1,800 before the shipping costs and the duty taxes and all that stuff. There are some universal ones, but then you have to build it on your own anyway, sort of. And the second very important thing, that none of them fit the clocks in the standard position or somewhere there. Now, one of them requires you to put the clocks on the handbar, which it seems to be a good idea until you ride it with the goggles, when your vision is limited and is rubbish. It's absolutely not acceptable, like I said before. So I really want it to be in the front, where the standard position is, just lower and further down, so I got the space for the roadbook. And this is exactly what I achieved. You can clearly see from the sitting position the whole thing, the whole clock. From the standing position, you can still see this section, which is your speedo, this is what you need mostly. You probably won't be able to see, or barely, the position, the gear selector, which is not really important. I mean, been riding bikes without that for all my life, so it's dumb. I mean, if you're busy looking at that stuff, then you're not really riding properly. So I think I achieved everything I ever wanted for the NAFTA. Now, obviously there's going to be tests to do. I will have to test this, because I already know it's more rigid, it's more stable than the original one. But how stable, how rigid, obviously I have to put it on and take the bike for testing. Now I'm gutted that I missed this 2 days of rally. Booked in, paid and everything. I was supposed to be there and I wasn't. And you know, but hey, at least I spent this time and built this one. I'm gonna get the next one, which is about in 2 months time. In meantime, I'm gonna test the bike, maybe TED, maybe some lanes, I don't know, maybe go back to Lee Walters on his training ground. Maybe I can test it there, whatever. Obviously it will come up if it's rigid enough or not, if it vibrates or not. I think it's gonna be good, but again, only testing will tell. Next thing I would like to do, if everything goes right, obviously the screen, because the screen is just this. I think this is the CBR 2015 model screen, which you can clearly see is too small. Width, I'm okay with that. It's just not too enough, because obviously it goes just above the roadbook, not above the phone, but obviously one of the lights is completely uncovered. I would like that to be at least here. Now, there are two solutions for this. There is a company in Italy that make one-piece screen, which is the screen, the headlamp protector like this, but goes all the way up here, and is 10 mm higher than the original one, which will be exactly the same as mine now. So this height, it means it will be here, which it could be a good solution, because obviously if you're not doing rallies, you travel with the bike, so standard height, this was very good. And again, you can see through here as from the standard, even with all this stuff around it. So that could be a good option. However, it would have to stand, as you can see, not on the angle, but completely straight, as you can see here. Maybe too tall, I don't know. But there's one solution. It's not too expensive. I think it's £150 in a very thick 4mm polycarbonate. Another option is the KTM 1250. I think that KTM 1250, those the same company for that bike, they make the screen, which is I believe 42 centimeters, which is, if you come from the bottom of the headlamp, of the light, this on the bottom here, look, it will just go there, just to cover this. It will be just underneath this, which will be exactly perfect. The shape of that screen, it is fairly kind of similar to this, obviously the original of the Yamaha, which is very tempting. So I have these two options. I don't know which one to go for now. For the moment, I wouldn't go to buy one anyway because I want to test the nav tower phase, the structure. For now, I just put this screen on, and as you can see, I just budget together honestly with the zip ties, one here and two on the side, which surprisingly is actually very strong, and it's all I need. Why I didn't make proper mounts for it? Well, because this is not the screen I'm gonna leave it on it. I'm gonna make a mounts, proper mounts for the screen I'm actually gonna use at the end, which makes complete sense. And the zip ties, to be honest, for now, they trust me, they're strong enough. This, once it's tied, is solid. So the only thing is ugly. But again, I know you're gonna say, obviously the standard front end to this bike is much better, because I think this bike on the front is very nice. It's actually a beautiful piece of motorcycle. With my NAFTA, obviously you ruin the aesthetics of it. I know it's not nice anymore. You can even argue it's fairly ugly. I don't care. I prefer this way, you know, it's functional. So I'm okay with this. I just have to test it and see if it can be improved even more, but I think this is gonna be spot on, 100%. And at the moment when I made that decision, it's good 100%. After test and test and test, probably some of the falls, I'm gonna drop the bike many times, I'm pretty sure. Oh fuck. Look at this fucking depth of the road, because you can't see the fuck. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Especially if I go on the enduro track, because it's not possible not to drop the bike. If you don't drop it, you don't ride it properly. You know, especially this heavy coat, and I'm not too big, so you know, 200 kilograms bike for me is fairly big. The last thing I wanted to do is possibly put this in production, maybe small production, maybe one-offs. Once it's all cutted and designed and cut, it will be just a matter of assemble the stuff together. I can assemble them within 1 day, well, less than a day, and it fits everything. It fits one of those, it fits you phone holder. From the phone holder, I will really use one of these, which is for the mountain bikes. You have a clamp for the big bar here, one bolt that holds this, and you just clamp it like a vice. And then let me tell you something, this is solid, this is strong. I've jumped with the bike, I've crashed the bike, I've dropped it so many times, these never moved. And I have a pretty big heavy phone, and it never let me down. This is probably one of the cheapest one, all made in aluminium and steel here, and it's absolutely spot on. I see people making this anti-vibration blah blah, they cost a fortune. Just get one of these. This was like 15 pounds or something, or 17 pounds, or even 20, I can't remember, but it's definitely worth the money. This is best phone holder I ever had. And I had it on this, even on top here, which is again on the top, is supposed to vibrate. Again, drop the bike so many times, never get loose, never lose the phone or anything. It was absolutely spot on. It's brilliant. And I use it again over there. Actually, I use the mounts for it on the bottom, two of them, to hold the roadbook. Cheap and just efficient. So if you're looking for the phone holder, just get one of those. Oh, and the last thing before we go, the scale prepared, because obviously everyone is curious about this, the weight difference. Okay, so this one, bear in mind, with a very light plastic amateur roadbook. So, and this is much lighter. I would say at least easily half a kilogram, if not more. Let's put it on. Let's put the scale. Hold on, just stabilize it. .9 kilograms. Okay, let's put it back here. I don't want to drop it. Now let's see this NAFTA again, with everything complete, with lights and everything you need to put it on, and with much heavier roadbook. 3.6. Finished, done, completely. Well, not really, because I have to sort out the lights. I want them to be working on low and high, because from now, as soon as I turn the engine on, both of them, they go on. But I really have to study how the standard one works. I have to take it apart and see which cable goes where. This is actually a quicker way to do it. So that's the only thing left to do today. Tie these bolts up, that's it. But the nav tower is on and running. The charger is on, as for the phone, which replaced my IQOS because I don't want to spend money on that yet. And this is it. Wires again, I didn't chop them at all. This is all the whole length, just coiled around it, all nice and tight to the frame. So on this side, the sensor is actually bolted in the frame. Oh yes, and I could not resist. Oh, I had to. What can I say? This is actually the right length and the width for the sticker, so yeah, I had to do it. Now, I want to say this actually looks pretty chunky on the front, but the look of it, because I don't know, because it's black, because it's different on the bike, I got no idea. But this is actually quite smaller than the original one, much smaller. So I don't know why it looks so chunky and bigger, maybe, I don't know. Now, as much as I know this is not as good looking as the original one, I know it's not beautiful at all, it may be ugly, but there is something into that. I do actually like it. However, let's just jump on the bike. Again, I'm gonna put the camera exactly at where my eyes are right now and see where we stand. Okay, so from the sitting position, this is what I see. The camera is actually on my eye, right eye. So this is from the sitting position. The clocks, they have to be twisted. I can't be fucked for now, to be honest, because I have to remove the plate and twist a little bit, because the roadbook is actually straight. The clocks, they're a bit on the side on the left. Apart that, everything is square. So this is what I see from sitting down. That obviously is the mount for the ICO. That's where everything is visible. Now let's stand up. The way you stand up on this is roughly here. Looking down, you can clearly see the whole clocks, and actually you can still see the there you go, the gears you're in. That and there, you can still see it, and especially when you're pretty much in a kind of aggressive riding, which is you stay in there. You never stay this way. If you stay this way, maybe in some up the hill something, but usually this is where you stand. This is sitting position, and this is you up and down, and that's it. Quick glance, and you can very clearly see it. So I really like it, and it's like much less stuff in your line of sight if you go in technical stuff, enduro. Simple as that. Now works on the thumb, and again left and right instead of here, because I find it very nice. Maybe here is better because everyone put it here. I couldn't do it with the standard controls, because obviously the bracket will have to be much lower here, and it's just not long enough, because this is usually put on the Husqvarna's KTM's, and this is much smaller on them, so that probably fits on the side. But I found it actually very good, not bad at all, so probably gonna leave it this way. And this is not connected directly to the battery like obviously it's supposed to be, what they say. So if you turn the ignition off, nothing works. So the ignition has to be on, but I can leave the ignition on, fuel pump goes on, but the lights actually not on. So I can leave the ignition on and roll the roadbook, and without draining the battery with my lights, because they only come on as the engine is running, and that's it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, that is a genius solution. It is what it is. Well, I think this is it. Now it's time for test. Again, good that I couldn't do it today and yesterday, but next one. So I'm really looking forward to this a lot.